Vadrik is a 3 CMC easy spellslinger commander that discounts instants and sorceries by 1 generic mana for each point of power that he has. He also has a second ability for gaining +1/+1 counters connected to the day-night mechanic. Back in the day, Mizzix was the go-to spellslinger commander, and for a good reason. You play him, you cast a few spells, and you're either set up to win with some reiterate combo variant, or have massively discounted spells. So how does Vadrik compare to Mizzix and why he is better? Floors and roofs, figuratively speaking. A naked Mizzix with no counters provides no discount whatsoever, so his floor is 0, and his roof is capped by the CMC of the spells you cast, and unless you're really trying to suck him up with X spells or proliferation, the max discount you can reach on average is around 6 or 7 mana. The only advantage Mizzix has is that his counters persist. Vadrik on the other hand comes with a built-in discount of 1 generic mana, so his floor is already higher. Additionally, his power can be stacked infinitely, which means the discount he provides is also unlimited. Lastly, he costs 1 less mana, which also matters if you want a quick early win, or in a long game where your commander is removed a few times. There are several ways to increase Vadrik's power. The first is with equipment. Blackblade Reforged increases Vadrik's power by the number of lands you control. Hand of Vecna increases his power by the number of cards in your hand, and can be equipped with life instead of mana. Hero's Blade gives immediate +3 boosts and attaches for free when Vadrik enters the battlefield. These equipments work great and are relatively cheap both in mana and in dough. The second way is through small rage effects such as Titan Strength, Brute Force, Reckless Charge, Infuriate, and so on, or big rage effects that usually outright double Vadrik's power, such as Enrage, Moon Frenzy, Blazing Shoal, and Baluvian Rage. There is a third way to increase his power, but it is forbidden, considered by many to be unnatural. It's Storm.
I don't want it.
Personally, I don't know what Dark Soul would go such a path, but if you are someone who enjoys playing Storm, my number is 555. The key cards here are the buyback cards, Seething Hatred, Haze of Rage, and Clock Spinning. For those who don't know how buyback works, it goes like this. You announce that you are casting the spell, and would be paying the buyback cost. So in order to cast it, you need to pay usually 3 generic and 1 colored mana. Vadrik discounts the generic cost, and you just pay 1 red or blue, the spell resolves, hopefully, and it goes back into your hand. Fair warning, buyback and flashback do not play well together, since flashback explicitly states that if a card would go anywhere else after leaving the stack, it should be exiled instead. These spells are good on their own, but things really pop off if you have one of the next 3 cards on the field. Stormkiln Artist, Birgi, God of Storytelling, and Runaway Steamkin. Now, with each spell you cast, you either get 1 treasure, 1 red mana, or 1 counter that can be exchanged for mana every 3 cast cycles. This enables you to stack Vadrik to infinity and usually finish the game on the spot. I would like to point out a few particular interactions with Stormkiln Artist. The first is with Clock Spinning. This combo can add infinite counters to Vadrik, but furthermore, Clock Spinning can add counters to Planeswalkers, thus enabling them to ultimate immediately. Haze of Rage, on the other hand, has Storm on its own, and since our draft body has Magecraft, it triggers some copies too, and it will not only stack Vadrik and the entire team, but also create infinite mana, which you usually don't need, but yay, infinite. Lastly, spell bursts with Stormkiln Artist can be a very obnoxious lock to deal with, forcing your opponents to act on the stack with at least 2 interaction spells, and if combined with stuff like the original Teferi, Mage of Zhalfir, it basically ends the game. Since Vadrik provides big discounts but unlimited ceiling, I prefer to build my decks not around the usual Mizzix I like big CMC route, but instead focusing on X spells. On the draw front, this includes the classics such as Blue Zinc and Proof from Tomorrow, but also much less known cards such as Epiphany and the Drowned, Occult Epiphany, Thassa's Intervention, and Muse Vortex. I also like to play Commander's Insight, Commune with Lava, and Diviner's Portent. The only non-X spells are Tezoid's Gambit because it's basically free card draw, Frantic Surge because it's also a combo piece, and Apex of Power because A. Bolas, and B. It occasionally provides much needed colored mana for casting even more spells. On the tutor side of things, I play the usual Fireman's Foresight, but also Invert Invent, which is a great 2-mana tutor, and Fervent Mastery. Now I know what you're all thinking. What is this bad gamble doing here? But hear me out. You stack Vadrik so that you have enough discount, play Fervent Mastery and search up Past in Flames, Epiphany at the Drowned, and Brass's Bounty. Say you are mega unlucky. Say you discard all 3 cards. No worries. Cast Past in Flames from the graveyard, then Brass's Bounty, follow it up with Epiphany at the Drowned. The piles you make are Electro Dominance or Explosive Welcome, and Reiterate, and all the rest. GG no re. Now for the packages that you can play with Vadrik. The first package is Day-Night Shenanigans. This is the smallest package. As of filming of this, there are only 2 cards of note, the Celestus and Into the Night. The second package is Tokens. There are many token makers that are triggered on spells being cast and certainly provide great value to the Vadrik deck. These include Taran Sky Summoner, Young Pyromancer, Deeker Fractal Theorist, Metallurgic Summonings, Docent of Perfection, Puppet Stitcher, Murmuring Mystic, Mana Form Hellkite. Sapphire Thunder Collector deserves a special shout out too, because he conducts, he collects, but most importantly he can also make tokens. The Pingus package can be used either as a combo finisher or as a more fair way to chip at life totals and get to victory. Usually a Pingus package includes Gutter Snipe, Kessig Flame Breather, Electrostatic Field, the good old Thermo Alchemist, Smoldering Egg, Firebrand Archer. Of course Big Daddy Nif Mizzet Parun can also be included, but I wouldn't recommend him here. Now let's get to the good stuff. I have a question for you. Do you like Doubling Season but hate green? Do you like Superfriends but feel dirty to play a Traxxer? Do you like having all eggs in one basket? Then wait no more and simply add Clock Spinning, Storm Kiln Artist and a bunch of Planeswalkers and voila! You have a DIY Doubling Season on a stick! Among the more interesting Planeswalker ultimates are Raw Wizard Viceroy, which draws 2 cards and deals 4 damage on every spell being cast, and Chandra Torch of Defiance, which has a similar emblem. Jaya Bharat lets you cast instant and sorcery from your graveyard. Will Kenrid has an emblem that copies all instant and sorceries you cast, and you can throw in Rowan Kenrid because why not? Tamiyo Moonsage is a bit pricey, but has a great emblem which is basically infinite value. Tezoid Artifice Master, Tezoid Betrayer of Flesh, Jace Architect of Thought, and Dark Faden are worth mentioning too. Royal Science and Jace Memory Adept draw cards, and Ugin the Spirit Dragon does too, but also cheats stuff into play. Teferi Temporal Archmage is great value overall. But this is child's play. Despite some luck involved, original Raw Zarak usually enables an infinite turn lock. I also hear that the Rayo Sorotami Ascendant is banned in Commander, which is too bad, so sad. So let's make it into an emblem with Jason Ravelo's secrets. Ah, yes, Storm, the forbidden stuff. As mentioned, the main package includes Storm Kiln Artist, Birgir God of Storytelling, and Runaway Steamkin. However, there are a few more cards of note. Whispers of the Muse can work with Storm Kiln Artist and draw the entire deck, while gathering some 70 to 80 Storm stacks. Searing Touch is great and can act as a finisher itself, but keep in mind that those who expect conceit on the stack are seldom disappointed. For this reason, I prefer to run the classic, one and only, Grape Shot. Other classics include Brain Freeze to mill everyone who is not a degenerate running Eldrazi Titans, Temporal Fissure to return all permanents, lands included, to your opponent's hands. Empty the warrants can work if you have a way to give haste or impact tremors type effect. Lastly, if you're into collecting bonus points, Ignite Memories is a nice way to sear the memory of the game into everyone's mind. Rao Storm's Conduit is a real conduit for a Storm game plan. He works great with the tried and tested Expansion Explosion plus Reiterate combo, but also with the Storm Pumpers for Vadrik, more specifically Haze of Rage. Speaking of Reiterate, the card works great with almost anything, including but not limited to Mana Geyser, Desperate Ritual, Peretic Ritual for infinite red mana, Brass's Bounty for infinite treasures, Reality Spasm for infinite untap of permanents, including lands, Frantic Search for drawing the entire deck with some 70 to 80 mana left over, Electro Dominance for infinite damage to face, Explosive Welcome for an explosive end to the game, and last but not least Seismic Spike to destroy all opponents' lands and ensure that the next game will look like this. Good stuff. Obligatory mention goes to Aetherfrost's Reservoir, Sentinel Tower and Sphinx Bone Wand, but personally I try to shy away from those in this deck. It's all fun and games, but at some point you gotta wrap things up and proceed to the next one, where you're inevitably targeted and knocked out first. Right? Yeah, hello? Wait, what? What do you mean this only happens to me? For finishers, I can recommend spells that can hit multiple players at the same time, such as Comet Storm, Cracker with Power, Grape Shot, Jaya Simulating Inferno, Fireball, and Chandler's Ignition. Some more that are worth mention are Fall of the Twin Gods, Fanning the Flames, and of course, Banefire. I hear Capsize with infinite mana is good salt generator too. Mana artifacts are usually the cheapest CMC you can find that produce colored mana. Arcane Signet, Izzet Signet, Cold Steel Heart, Fire Diamond, Sky Diamond, Talisman of Creativity, and the Celestus as the only 3 mana one. I'd recommend to avoid colorless mana producers like Mindstone, Hedron, Archive, and so on like the Plague, as Vadrik's biggest weakness are colored mana pips on spells. It's why I don't even want Sol Ring in any of my Vadrik decks. For mana, the lands are the usual suspects. Command Tower, Steam Vents, Cascade Bluffs, Riverglade Pathway, Storm-Carved Coast, Training Grounds, Surfer Falls, Shivan Reef, Izzet Boilerworks, and Temple of Epiphany. Like with mana artifacts, I'd recommend to shy away from any colorless mana producers like Reliquary Tower. The only utility land I run is Opal Palace, as it can work great as an instant power pro Vadrik, especially if you need to cast him a second or third time. In case you wonder what a god hand with Vadrik looks like, it goes something like this. For a turn 1 win, you need Steam Vents, Mana Crit, Birgi God of Storytelling, Jeweled Lotus, Rite of Flame, Haze of Rage, and Fireball. Play Steam Vents untapped, followed by Mana Crypt, and use the 3 mana to cast Birgi, God of Storytelling. Cast the Jeweled Lotus, getting 1 red mana, and use it to cast Rite of Flame, getting triple red mana. Sack the Lotus for triple blue, and cast Vadrik, reading you with triple red. Use this mana to cast Haze of Rage with buyback. Birgi nets you a single red mana floating, and Haze of Rage resolves and returns to hand. Now Vadrik has enough power to cast Haze of Rage for a single red mana, which is exactly how much we have floating. Repeat until Vadrik is stacked and Fireball is lethal. The god hand that the deck I am currently playing can achieve is turn 3 win. It consists of the following: Island, Mountain, Rite of Flame, Runaway Steamkin, Seed in Anger, Cracker with Power, Desperate Ritual, and at least 1 untapped land in 4 draws. Turn 1 play Island. Turn 2 play Mountain into Runaway Steamkin. Turn 3 cast Rite of Flame. Now you have 2 lands untapped, double red floating, and 1 counter on Steamkin. Cast Vadrik with no lands untapped, 1 red mana floating, and 2 counters on Steamkin. Cast Desperate Ritual, and add triple red and 3 counters on Steamkin. Remove 3 counters from Steamkin to add another triple red. Cast Sieging Angler for triple red, and you're left with 3 red floating and 1 counter. Sieging Angler goes back to your hand. Now cast it again for a single red mana, leaving you with 2 red and 2 counters. Repeat this process until Vadrik is stacked enough and Cracker with power is lethal. In conclusion, all I can say is that Vadrik is a very cool commander that offers many different routes to go to, and is suitable for many different playstyles. I hope that you found this guide helpful, and that hopefully it will be useful for you when building your own decks. Thank you for watching. Cheers! Other classics include Brain Freeze to mirror everyone who is not a degenerate, running Kendrazi Titans, and look who is speaking of reiterate, reiter, reiter, как се въртят езика? Reiterate, the card works great with almost anything, including but not limited. In conclusion, all I can say is that Varric is a very cool commander that offers many different routes to go to and is suitable for many different playstyles. I hope that you found this guide helpful and that hopefully it will be useful for you when building your own decks. Thank you for watching. Cheers!